Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast. My name is David.
My name is James.
Hello there. This is General Kenobi.
And this is where we talk all things Star Wars. A lot of news has happened, a lot of celebration stuff. But first, before we talk about any of that stuff, I do want to talk about our very, very great supporters out there on Patreon. I want to give a shout out to our tiers, the purple, red, and black tier. On the purple tier, we have Chris Simpson, who we hope to see at Celebration, Kevin Leininger, Devin McCaffrey, Drew Peters, Zach Netzel. On the red tier, we have Fenrir526. That's another person we might, I think we might be able to see at Celebration. Matt Heath, Maya Morris. On the black tier, Maka Tautala, Nathan Shank, Evan Opaker, and Liam McCallion, who I'm pretty sure we are going to be able to see at Celebration.
Nice.
And that's part of the news tonight, that we are officially, some of us are going to be able to go to London and go to Celebration. So we bought our tickets, we bought our plane tickets, we have our hotels, so we're pretty much locked in. So I'm super excited. Unfortunately, James will not be able to join us.
Nope.
Which he will break his celebration streak.
I know. So I did Florida, Chicago, and Anaheim, but I will not be doing Europe. And I had my tickets and everything. It just for one, it came pretty quick. It feels like just yesterday we had Celebration Anaheim, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's not going to happen for me. But I'm really glad that you, Colin, and Carl are going to go, and Josh as well are going to be there. So that's awesome. Hopefully y'all have fun and don't get too much culture shock when you step off the plane there. And I'm a wuss though, because I was talking to David about this. I was like, man, I want to go. I mean, but I don't know if I could do the flight over the ocean and just looking down and just seeing just ocean. Like that would freak me out. Like even when we flew to Florida, I remember looking out being like, oh my gosh, please, just this is kind of scary. So yeah.
And for you, you're in California, so that flight would be an extra 8 hours on top of the 11 hours that I'm flying.
So yeah, it would have been ridiculous. Yeah, to fly to New York and then from New York to fly to London would have been just chaos. And that's expensive right now.
Well, James, I'm not going either. So if you want to just podcast,
yeah, we're just gonna podcast.
You and me. Yes, talk about all the cool stuff that it's not happening here. So yeah.
Well, one thing I hope is they break the tradition of that they just did this past year, where they just show the panel for the people who were there, because that was really not cool that they did that last year.
Yep.
In case y'all didn't know, of course, everybody knows who followed us and were hearing us complain. Like, yeah, we got there, we went to the Star Wars stage, and they were like, all right, the show started. We're like, okay, and we're looking, and nothing. Nothing. They didn't show anything. So yeah, hopefully in Europe they will show us the panels that are going to be there. And speaking of that, we know some people are going to be there. It seems like each day they're announcing more people. So what do we have? What's going on now?
So just announced today, official picks. D. Bradley Baker, who's of course the voice of all the Bad Batch and the voice from the Clone Wars. Vivian Lyra Blair, who's Princess Leia, young Princess Leia, the Obi-Wan Kenobi trilogy or series. Anthony Daniels, C-3PO. And I think Anthony Daniels goes to, I don't think he's missed a celebration that I can think of.
No, I've never. Yeah, no.
And of course, Ashley Eckstein, voice of Ahsoka Tano in so many different animated series. Giancarlo Esposito, Moff Gideon, who's one of my personal favorites, who I got to see in person at the help me out here,
San Antonio.
San Antonio car show and
something,
the superhero car show and Comic-Con. Yeah,
there it goes.
Matt Lanter, who is the voice of Anakin Skywalker and also made a cameo appearance on I believe, I'm trying to remember the name of that ship from the Mandalorian season 1. He was a guy wearing
he was one of
I believe he was wearing the stormtrooper boots, and he was called Egghead by Bill Burr. And of course, Indira Varma, Tala from Obi-Wan Kenobi. She gave a great acting performance in that show. It made me a really big fan. Of course, she's a veteran of big time TV shows with Game of Thrones, so she'll be there. That was actually announced a couple days ago, but the new announcement today, the big one, of course, is Hayden Christensen,
What?
Anakin Skywalker,
So
who's
awesome.
going to be in more stuff. He's going to be in the Ahsoka Tano series. Dennis Lawson, classic character in Wedge Antilles. He's from the United Kingdom, so hopefully it's not too much of a drive for him. Mads Mikkelsen, it'll be his first celebration. Of course,
So
he's Galen
cool.
Erso.
Yeah.
He's
So awesome.
a big time actor. He's done so many things. He's done Hannibal. He was in the first Daniel Craig James Bond. Katie Sackhoff, of course, Bo-Katan Kryze. I got to see her in Houston at Comic Palooza. Of course, James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Surprisingly, there are still tickets available for Celebration. If you go to StarWarsCelebration.com and click on buy tickets, you can buy individual day tickets. The 4-day passes sold out in the first like 10 minutes or something way back when they originally went on sale.
Not
If
cool.
you go now, you can buy them and you can use your credit card. I had someone actually contact me today and say, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And they said my PayPal's not working to purchase tickets. I don't know what part of the country or what part of the world this person was from, but that might have had something to do with that. I'm not quite sure. So, yeah, I'm definitely taking a Visa or MasterCard or something like that to this celebration. And of course, everything that's priced out is priced in euros since it's happening in Europe. And we had to still buy Josh his tickets. So of course we had to buy the individual day tickets. And when you purchase it initially in dollars, it was something like $336 or something.
Yeah,
But
it comes up to like 80 some odd dollars per ticket. So
when the conversion happens, though, it came out to over $400 for those tickets.
Ouch.
Yeah, I know. I purchased every single ticket. So yeah. But that, I mean, I'm really glad, like, Giancarlo Esposito and Hayden Christensen are going to be going, because it is kind of a trip, and everyone else, of course, but because it is a trip, to go over there to Europe for this, and that's really cool that they're all going to be there. And I wonder who else they're going to announce. I wonder if Pedro Pascal is going to be there, if I don't know, Diego Luna is going to show up. Like, I don't know. It's just really cool to think about who else they could announce.
I think they're all going to be there. It's just a question of, are they going to sign?
Right.
I don't know if we kind of know how this actually works. Are there like a certain number of slots that are allowed? Because we all know that Hayden Christensen didn't sign or do photo ops at last Celebration. So I think that was a huge kind of shock to a lot of people. A lot of people really wanted to get his autograph, General Kenobi being one of them.
I did. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was kind of weird watching him walk around, and like he was going to different people's signing booths, and I'm like, why aren't you signing, man? But yeah, it's they get paid pretty nicely. I think it was just negotiations, which is ironic. But yeah, I think his price for his signing is something north of 200 euros. So
yeah,
that's kind of a lot of money there for an autograph, I believe. Is it an autograph or a photo op? Did you check, General Kenobi?
I think they're usually priced around about the same. So I would say it's for an autograph. I haven't checked for the photo ops because I, don't want to torture myself anymore since I'm not going. But
okay, I'm on the official website right now for official picks. Photo op and at the table autograph is 209.99 pence. I don't know, euros. So 209 euros. So
you're like, whatever those are.
Yeah.
So yeah. I was on a few pages today and going through social media, and a lot of people who hadn't kind of experienced this type of thing before, did bring up the fact that it was a lot of money for an autograph, and brought up the fact that Carrie Fisher back in 2016 signed for only $50 or 50 euros or something. And it's like, yeah, you think back, and it's like, yeah, the further you go back, the cheaper things are, and the cheaper the experiences are, and the more you move into the future, it's just going to get more expensive. So
absolutely.
You really got to keep that in mind. And especially if you go to other conventions, if you go to Comicpalooza like I did in Houston, Katie Sackhoff was actually, I think, something like $60 less expensive for her signing and photo op compared to Star Wars Celebration. So if you want to be kind of strategic, you can kind of look to see if they're ever going to come by. I know Katie Sackhoff's been to London a couple times for different conventions.
Right.
So it's a lot cheaper there, but to get that Celebration watermark on the back and be with your person from Star Wars, I think that's kind of the ultimate. You're kind of paying for that, I think, to be at Star Wars Celebration and to be with that particular Star Wars personality. It's just the best.
We're really weird in that if we see that Celebration logo on something, we're like, oh, we gotta buy it. You know what I mean? Like a coffee mug with a Star Wars Celebration. I was like, oh, I gotta get that. You know what I mean? It's just, it's ridiculous. Like I bought 2 watch bands from there because it said Star Wars Celebration on the actual watch band.
Nice.
And I was like, I gotta get it, man. I gotta
Absolutely.
And
but to bring up a good point, man, because I got Katie Sackhoff's autograph in 2019 in Chicago. And she back then she was still just the voice, right, of Bo-Katan. She had not come out live action. And I want to say I paid like maybe like $50, maybe like $75, like tops.
Wow.
And then I got her autograph on the actual figure, right? Since, after that she actually got figures down here in San Antonio. Last year she was here at a small show. And dude, that was like 125, I think.
Oof.
So I was like, dude, like 2 years maybe like 3 years, let's say, right, difference. I was like, that's quite the jump. So I would say, if you really want somebody's autograph or photo op, I'd say you try to jump on it like as soon as you can, right? Because like David mentioned, I think they're just gonna keep going up, honestly.
I blame ReedPop. We're just gonna keep saying it's ReedPop's fault.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Katie Sackhoff's prices here for photo op. She's 109 euros, and at the table for an autograph, it's 99 euros.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Pretty cool.
And I think it has something to say about Katie Sackhoff's character too. I think she's gonna have a huge role in season 3.
I agree.
Yeah.
It was awesome when she took that helmet off in season 2.
Right?
I was like, oh, I remember yelling like, "This is pretty cool."
Oh, absolutely.
Well, hey, what's up? Welcome to our podcast today.
Hey.
Hello.
Mark Hamill.
Oh man,
would be big time. I think Mark Hamill could probably charge like $300 for his autograph, and people
he can charge whatever he wants.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I would gladly pay it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And if Harrison Ford were to show up, he could probably charge $500.
He doesn't.
Easy, but
he doesn't need to do. You know what I mean? Like he's Harrison Ford.
James. Yeah, I mean, you say that, but I mean, you still got to pay taxes on stuff, James.
he's doing good. He's doing pretty good. I don't think he needs to do autographs.
Yeah, he's doing real well. So yeah, Rolando says hello.
What's up, Rolando?
Hey, what's going on, Rolando?
What else we got today? I know we had the Celebration. Y'all are going, and I'm not. Big news. And then the names are announced, and I think they're gonna just keep announcing the closer we get, and it's gonna be here really, really quick. It's gonna be here very, very
It's
soon.
actually 66 days from now.
That's crazy.
That's insane. I actually thought it was pretty surprising that they announced somebody as big as Hayden Christensen this early on. They usually announce, like the Ewan McGregors like that, like towards the last release of the names. They sort of start off small, but I mean Hayden, that's about as big as it gets. Yeah.
Can you imagine if Liam Neeson goes?
Oh man,
like
stop it, James.
The woods, man.
Stop it. Just keep torturing me with.
And it's funny how you said Dennis Lawson's going to be there, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's how he got the part for for Star Wars because he was right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they put out a casting call for local actors. Yeah, there. Yeah, see,
Yes,
put out a call
exactly.
for local actors, and he was probably like, "All right, yeah, let me do it."
Yeah.
All those guys were probably like, "Oh, yeah, let's try it out."
Yeah,
And then
no
he
kidding,
got
right? Oh,
he got super lucky. He was in all three of them.
absolutely.
Yeah. Star Wars has a lot of roots over there.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if every single person, every single living actor or anyone that had anything to do with the original trilogy kind of does show up to this celebration. And we might just be like wandering the show floor and like rubbing shoulders with people that have been in the original trilogy.
That'd be so
But
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an awesome thing. I'm keeping my streak alive. I thought about that. I've been to Anaheim 2015. Then I went to Orlando where I met Colin and slept next to James but never met him. 2019 we went to Chicago, James, myself, Joseph, Colin. And then 2020 never happened because of the pandemic. Then 2022 we were back at Anaheim. James had to just like drive 5 minutes to the
Oh,
convention
it was
center.
the best. It was.
I had to
the best.
drive 4,000 miles.
Yeah.
It was so cool that I was like, I'm just gonna drive over here, park my car, walk in, and when I'm ready, I'm like, I'm gonna go home now. And I just got in my car and drove home, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was the coolest thing ever. And yeah, I'm never gonna forget that how convenient it was that it was here in Anaheim.
So the next thing I want to talk about, did anyone have any idea that yesterday was Ahsoka Tano Day?
I had no idea. Like
Yeah.
what makes it Ahsoka Tano Day? Like what
Exactly.
is it what date? Like what was it? It was January 29th.
Yes, I had no idea either. I had to look this up. So according to Google, Ahsoka Tano Day is an annual online celebration of all things Ahsoka Tano, started by Twitter user at Ahsoka Tano's Life, at Ahsoka Tano's Life back in 2015.
So why
Okay.
did they pick today?
Yeah.
That's
if you-
cool.
That's the only explanation. Yeah, so like that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hey.
of course we have two Ahsoka Tanos
Mm-hmm.
that are living and breathing, Ashley Eckstein and of course Rosario Dawson. So Ashley Eckstein does a lot of stuff with fans in regards to Ahsoka Tano. She's very active on social media, and she actually posted it. I didn't see the post on social media, but she did talk about it. So she went to Batu East, which is in Florida, and they took a bunch of pictures. Of course, you take your lightsaber. It's at night where they kind of do the big photo op. And I got some photos here if you're watching us on YouTube.
That's awesome.
So right in front of the Falcon at Batu East, you can see Ashley Eckstein there. And if you look closely, you might see a couple of Star Wars Stuff podcast members in there. So that's right. Colin and Brooke got to meet Ashley Eckstein once again. I'm not sure how many times they've met her. I think for Colin, in 2017 Orlando, she came up to us waiting in line and she gave us cupcakes. But Brooke and Colin got to meet her right in front of the Falcon.
That's so awesome.
And
That's
get this
freaking
photo
cool.
op. So, yeah, Brooke is a massive Ahsoka Tano fan.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can tell by her backpack, and her
Sure.
shirt that she's wearing that she's a huge
And
fan.
I
She
believe she has a tattoo as
I
well.
think she has 2 tattoos
Just-
of
yeah,
Ahsoka
she has-
Tano.
Ahsoka Tano tattoos,
Yeah.
which are pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So,
So awesome.
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And
of
Matt
course-
says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, Matt says the day the character was debuted on the show in 2008 was today's date. So that is That is
Okay, that makes sense.
or yesterday's date.
Makes more sense.
And of course, Matt was there. What a jerk!
Matt was there too.
It was funny because I had heard something about her being at Batu, and I was at Disneyland yesterday, and I got kind of excited, and it wasn't. It was Batu East, not Batu West. So I'm a little upset she did not come to California for that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah, at Celebration 2022 in Anaheim, I did buy an Ahsoka shirt with the Ahsoka, that first logo with the World Between Worlds kind of in the back of the typeface there. And I'm anticipating it's going to be one of the best shows. Filoni has full control no interference. This is his baby from scratch that he's going to do everything that he wants to do. He's hyped it up to where he was on set one day and he said, I just filmed something that's been tumbling around in my head for years. And I think he said he cried or something. So my hype level is kind of through the roof here, guys.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's going to deliver. I think it's going to be pretty good. I think there's going to be lots of surprises. It has the feeling, and I think we all feel like it's going to be almost like a sequel to the Rebels animated show in a way.
Yeah.
And you figure you're going to get certain characters
Oh yeah.
reprising those classic roles now from Rebels. So I'm hyped up about it, and we don't know when it's going to premiere. We do know when Mandalorian season 3 is going to drop. That's going to be in March. And of course, we're going to get Skeleton Crew hopefully sometime this year in an Acolyte. But going back to our stories here that we want to talk about, unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, I don't know, it depends on how you look at it. The Force Awakens got knocked off its perch at the box office by
none other than
Blue Cat people.
Jeez.
Oh man.
James Cameron has 3 movies in the top 5 highest grossing films of all time.
Right.
That's
is
disgusting.
insane.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It still feels kind of wrong, to be honest. I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment. But
It's
that's
great.
maybe that's maybe that's a little bit of a comment actually, because I'm not really drawn to it, to be honest with you. Like I'm not in any sort of hurry to see it. Like I don't.
Well, what's funny was a lot of people were saying that, like on TikTok and on social media, everybody was like, I do not want to watch this movie. Like this does not look great and blah. And then the movie comes out and it's still number 1 at the box office since its release.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
like,
and it's
people are
still,
watching this movie.
oh, absolutely, and in droves apparently, because it keeps just beating record after record. And so I don't know. I guess I mean, not I guess. I know I'm in the minority on this one because the numbers, don't lie, I guess.
Did you see it, David?
I saw it twice.
Oh wow. See? There you go.
See, that's why it's still making all its money.
Well, see, I've seen it twice, but I haven't seen it in 3D yet, which is crazy.
Wow, yeah.
But
I
can't remember what the circumstance was, but I think I had to like kind of convince my wife to go see it, and then she just fell in love with it. We saw it at the Cibolos Anticos in AVX, and she loved it. The thing about this movie, it's 3 hours 10 minutes long, but it's a time machine because it doesn't feel like 3 minutes or 3 hours 10 minutes. It feels more like a 2-hour movie. It doesn't feel long, which is odd. I don't know what kind of like
voodoo magic
that James Cameron has achieved. But if you look at this frame I have here up on YouTube, if you're watching us, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, none of this is real. It's all fake. Even the water is not even real.
disgusting.
They figured they cracked the code for the uncanny valley with water. That's why apparently it took so long to make these movies between Avatar 1 and 2. He cracked, even though he still made the actors dive in water and have those effects kind of on the hair so they can, I guess, mimic the hair on the avatars. But just a huge achievement in filmmaking. And the CGI, they just really stepped their game up. And you can tell when you go back to look at the original Avatar compared to Way of Water, it's not night and day, but
for me it was night and day.
I don't think it's night and day, but you can tell the subtle differences, and you can tell that there was some upscaling there. And the first Avatar was actually released last year around the October timeframe. I wanted to go out and see it, but I never made the chance. But they re-released it in HDR in the same frame rate that Way of Water got released. And there's so many different versions of Avatar Way of Water to watch as well. There's just a standard film version. Then, of course, there's AVX, and there's high frame rate. Then there's 3D. Then there's IMAX. So if you're kind of a real cinephile and you want to watch all versions, I guess, compare them, I guess, you can do that. So,
yeah.
Stop
There's
giving them
that.
money, please. They
But
got more than enough. Okay.
But a legacy of nerds says the water is real. They were in tanks. No, yeah, they filmed it in the tanks. They filmed all of that in the tanks. But to do some of the effects and to get the close ups, like that's all CG, like water. But it's weird to think, like David was explaining it, is like it's all fake, but they actually did it underwater, and it's like like why do it underwater if you're I don't know. It's really weird. But I will say, when they did jump into the water for the first time in this movie, my mouth dropped. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like it looked so beautiful. And I went all out my first time. I saw it IMAX 3D. So for me, it was so beautiful. I saw it on the biggest screen I could here in Anaheim, and it was so great. So
Yeah, and I'll read the little blurb on Variety here. It starts with Pandora is more powerful than a galaxy far, far away. Avatar: The Way of Water has passed Star Wars: The Force Awakens as the fourth highest grossing movie of all time. Director James Cameron's sci-fi epic has now earned $2.075 billion at the global box office. The Force Awakens, another sci-fi sequel released long after previous installments, finished its theatrical run with $2.064 billion after hitting theaters in December 2015. With this latest box office milestone, Cameron now has 3 of the top 4 highest grossing movies in history. The original Avatar is still the champion, while Titanic sits in 3rd place.
And they're going to re-release Titanic. I know this is not Star Wars, but they're going to re-release Titanic in next month for Valentine's Day.
And it still counts towards the box office too.
And it still counts toward the box office. I wonder if he's going to beat Endgame with Titanic. Like,
oh
if
my
Titanic
god,
is going to shoot past Endgame. And then so now he'll have 1, 2, and 4, and then Avatar: Way of Water is still just bringing in money. So there is a possibility James Cameron will have the top 3 highest grossing films of all time.
I don't want to live in this world.
That's disgusting.
That's so wrong.
But man, he knows what he's doing. Like, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, apparently so. Like I said,
movies,
I am definitely the minority on this one. But hey, I'm sure James Cameron is very worried what I think about, as he's counting his literal billions in profits. But yeah, that's just crazy. I will say this though, and something that you were mentioning. This is the kind of movie that is absolutely made for the big screen, right?
Oh,
so if anybody is for some reason still haven't seen it, I do recommend you see it in theaters. That is one thing I will say. Again, me personally, I don't necessarily feel the need to, but if I had any interest on this, I'd definitely rush to the theaters to see it, and the biggest screen I could, because yeah, it's meant for the big screen, right? It was designed for it. So,
and rumor has it, this is coming from his own mouth, is his third script he turned in. They gave him a page of notes and they said that's amazing. And his 4th movie he turned in, they didn't give him any notes. They were just like, oh my gosh. And that's all they told him. And he was like, any notes? They're like, no, it's perfect. So it's just going to get better and better. And this is weird because Star Wars is the biggest franchise, science fiction, but then you have Avatar making more money at the box office.
Yeah.
And Avatar is an original idea. You know what I mean? Like, Avatar is like like this generations of Star Wars in a weird way. But it doesn't have the cultural impact that Star Wars did. Like, people aren't wearing
very weird.
People aren't wearing Avatar shirts. People aren't buying Avatar toys and collecting the toys and
not really
posters. It's weird that people are watching this movie, but it doesn't have that impact that Star Wars does, and it's so weird. I don't know. I can't explain that. I remember they were talking about it after the first one came out, and nobody could explain it. How it was the biggest movie of all time, but nobody talks about it, and it's.
Yeah, but it is very contained, like you said, to the movies, right? To the box office, and
you watch it, you're like, great, and then you know what I mean? Like, you don't have Avatar parties or anything, but who knows? Maybe after the 3rd one, because that's another thing, is the gap between the first and the second one. Now the 3rd and 4th, and maybe even the 5th one, are going to be within the 20s right now. So that may impact the pop cultural a relevance. I don't
Zeitgeist.
know.
Sure. Yeah.
Star Wars. That's true, man.
Agreed.
They knew what they were doing back in the
Oh, yeah.
70s when they were promoting that movie, man. They knew. And it's almost like Fox had no idea with Avatar. They were like, well, maybe
Yeah.
maybe this is gonna work. But yeah, that's pretty great. Welcome
Yeah,
to our
really
Avatar
incredible.
podcast. There's no Avatar stuff podcast for a good reason, because
Yeah.
we would just talk about
Same.
the first two movies and that's it.
And that's yeah.
Yeah. I have so many Avatar tidbits in my mind too, and I think I do want to talk about them.
Uh-oh.
So here's what I know we're talking about.
See what you do, James? See what
If
you do?
James Cameron was as smart as he is, because he's a genius, not just with movies, but like if you ever like look into his life, he is insanely smart.
Right.
If he was as smart
He
as
started off as a truck driver,
yes, a truck driver,
and he saw Star Wars.
and that was it.
And yeah, that was it. Him, I think Ridley Scott, and a whole list and slew of other filmmakers. But it's very interesting to hear James Cameron talk about it. But go on, James.
Yeah, James Cameron should do comic books, TV shows, other things. I think if he were to tap into that, he may be able to make Avatar kind of a bigger thing than just the movies.
Yeah.
But he's just focusing on these movies, and he always says it has to be seen on the big screen. So for him, I think that's his vision is just never going to be this. It's always going to be this, which is why I think Star Wars is great, because Star Wars is this, and then Star Wars can also go here and make this even better than the bigger thing, And I think Cameron is not going to do that with Avatar, but if he were to do that, I think it would be a little different going forward. But
There's also a really, really interesting, thought-provoking interview between James Cameron and George Lucas.
oh yeah, I've heard about that.
They talk to each other. There's a table in between them, and James Cameron brings up why and what Star Wars is, and he talked about Star Wars being a kind of a mirror to what society was at the time with Vietnam, and how you saw the Empire and you saw the rebellion as certain factions. You could correlate them to the Viet Cong of Vietnam, and the Empire would be the big machine that was rolling in.
Mhm.
And it's very interesting to see that. And I've seen other stuff where people in other parts of the world, primarily in the Middle East, they talk about how we see Star Wars and it's from America, and it's like, why don't you see our point of view? It's like, we're fighting the Empire on our side, and you made a movie about it. So why does that not jive? I think that's a very interesting
That is a
thing
very
in our
interesting-
reality. Yeah.
kind of messes with you. Think about it. And people say Star Wars was, what was that? So people said Star Wars is too woke. I was like, did you see the original one? Like what he was trying to do with that
Yeah.
original Star Wars movie?
Exactly.
It was woke before people even realized that was the word that would describe it.
Yeah,
And,
again, part of the genius of Star Wars is that commentary that George Lucas put into these films.
Yeah.
But
Amongst
even-
all the other things that we kind of celebrate and commend and award, I mean, that's I think true genius back then to weave that in and to have that be a thing. So
and also go to the prequels, Palpatine rising to power, Palpatine getting all that power. Look what was going on in the early 2000s with 9/11 and the current
Yeah.
president, and how much power
yeah.
was too much for him, and how everybody was kind of like, whoa, this is kind of weird. Then you watch Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, and you're like, oh crap. Like he was, yeah. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you're not with me, you're my enemy. That's
Yep.
Yeah.
the phrase
Yeah.
that George Bush made.
You made me think about that meme when when they had young Leia in cuffs in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show,
Mhm.
and the stormtrooper is asking the other one, why do we have like child size handcuffs? He's like, are we the bad guys? Like
That's a good point. Why did they have child size? Well, man, that's true. That's true. I didn't
Yeah.
think about that. But yeah, I've seen that interview, and I think that's James Cameron's. I think it's called like Look at Science Fiction or something. Like he has a bunch of directors, Ridley Scott, I think like Cronenberg, George Lucas, I think Paul Verhoeven, I can never say his last name, and a few others are like the pioneers of science fiction. And
Right.
and yeah, but like we said, Avatar will never be Star Wars, but it's crazy that Avatar is huge, is making as much money as it is. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe the
Wow.
next Star Wars movie will make as much money. What do we think? Depends. It all depends.
2025. I mean, yeah, it's been a little drought now since 2019. It's going to be 6 years, and I know everyone's heard me on the podcast just kind of like almost scream and shout about the fact that Star Wars should drop at least one film a year.
Agree.
Christmas time would be great. Maybe kind of stagger it. I don't know, but of course, bringing up Avatar, that's a huge property that Disney owns now, and the original plan was a Star Wars movie, then the next year an Avatar movie, then the next year a Star Wars movie. But this new rumored plan of dropping a Star Wars movie in 2025, 26, 27, that's going to fall on an Avatar year. And I don't know what's going to happen. Celebration should clear up a lot of things. Damon Lindelof, who I've been a fan of for a long time, he should be at Celebration. Hopefully he is. It's not a certainty, but hopefully he rolls across that stage and gives us the true breakdown of what these films are going to be, what they are. And there was a rumored report that came out. I think it was Jeff Snyder again. He went on a podcast and he talked about Damon Lindelof right there. If you're watching us on YouTube, he's
okay, good. I was going to say, wait, that's Damon. Sorry.
You didn't know that was him?
No, because you said Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff Snyder is reporting that
Yeah.
he's got new information and he is known as an insider. He got information that he was kind of incorrect when he first stated that the lead for the new Damon Lindelof possible trilogy of films is a female person of color, but apparently there's going to be a male lead person of color as well. So the new, I guess, rumor, if you're into following these rumors, is that it's going to be male-led, and there's going to be a co-star that's a female person of color. So, and of course, he made an incredible show in The Watchmen on HBO. Very, very interesting, very thought-provoking, very entertaining. So and of course, he was behind Lost with Carlton Cuse, and JJ only filmed the first episode of Lost, and people always associate Lost to JJ Abrams, but this is the guy, Damon Lindelof, behind that entire show, no matter what you think about the ending. And and a lot like James Gunn, he actually went back and forth with fans in the early days of the internet about the ending of the show, and he tried to, and a lot like Rian Johnson too, because it was so controversial. And Damon Lindelof actually said that he had to seek out therapy afterwards to kind of deal with it all, because it was such a huge thing in pop culture and people would not stop talking about it, and probably was getting harassed online. And we all know that people that are in these positions that make these shows, that act in the shows and the films, get paid a lot of money, but they're still people, I mean, they still have feelings. You got to take that into consideration. And I mean, you go through a lot still, even though you make millions of dollars and get all the acclaim and the renown, and you have a career. I mean, it's still, I mean, you just got to be a decent human being. And I think that's something that a lot of Star Wars fans really need to take into consideration moving forward. If they don't like something, I mean, there's always going to be more Star Wars, different things, and we're all different. We all see things differently, and cinema moves in cycles. Pop culture goes in cycles, so things come and they go. But also, Skeleton Crew, I wanted to bring this up. It has wrapped, in all intents and purposes. There's going to be some stuff shot later on, according to a report, but it seems like principal photography is pretty much done. I think scheduled reshoots are going to happen, but that's just the typical thing. Nothing major behind the scenes happened that I don't think any of us are aware of. I think there were a couple of reports stating that the crew weren't as. I'm not quite sure if it was this show. I'm getting them all confused now because this Ahsoka and Mando season 3 all kind of shot at the same kind of time and kind of cross timelines here. But I think there was some there was a social media post by the stunt team, and they made a post saying that's a wrap on Skeleton Crew. Then they had to quickly take it down because, of course, Lucasfilm doesn't want them talking about this, and for whatever reason doesn't want the public to know. But that post came out. The stunt crew was like probably not aware of the whole mystery box situation that Star Wars is in, and all the other franchises that are very secretive. But yeah, a post was made. But I'm really looking forward to this. There is an actual synopsis. I know I get a lot of people asking me about Skeleton Crew. I'll bring that up, and they kind of want an explanation. And there's a pretty good explanation of what Skeleton Crew is. And this is off of Bespin Bulletin, and here's a synopsis. Skeleton Crew was created by John Watts, who directed the Spider-Man Home trilogy with I'm blanking on his name now. Who played Spider-Man? Tom Holland. And Christopher Ford, who did Chaos Walking with, I believe, Daisy Ridley, and focuses on a group of children lost in the galaxy attempting to find their way back home. The series is led by Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore and Captain Marvel star Jude Law, and is expected to release sometime this year exclusively on Disney+. So it's on the way. We don't know when it's going to drop. Probably get details at Celebration. So I'm excited for that. Hopefully Jude Law walks across that stage, and it's another celebrity you get to see with my own eyes. It'd be cool to see him kind of embrace the fandom in Star Wars. And I think Jude Law has done a couple of like really quick red carpet type interviews, and he said that he's of course, I mean, you're going to say that the show that you're working on is great, but he has said so much that it's a good one. So it's going to be Star Wars's kind of answer to a Stranger Things type of show, and it's going to take place after Return of the Jedi, during the Mandalorian time frame, and we're still waiting. Maybe we'll get an announcement on that big climactic event that's going to take place that Kathleen Kennedy talked about at that investor call, where all the shows kind of run together and lead up. So,
well, I'm excited about the part of being a new region of space, right? It's supposed to be one that we have never seen before. So, and I know that Ahsoka is also going to dabble in that. So I'm assuming at this point, the big bad, it might be coming out of that region, right? And I don't know if that's going to be Thrawn per se, like if he's going to be the Thanos, to bring this show together and bring all these cast members together. But I am excited because it's been a while since we've had like an unknown regions, or like a Yuuzhan Vong, like distant galaxy type of thing in the lore, right? Like it's been a while. Yeah, we've had one or two planets here and there, but like a whole new region of space, like it's been a minute. So I'm looking forward to that part. I hope they handle it well, and I hope it gives us plenty of new stories to spring up from that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, actually. The unknown regions, that I think is kind of the perfect vehicle to have a jump off point for the rest of Star Wars TV and film, because we have no idea what happens out there. Exactly. It has no connection to anything we've kind of really known before.
Yep.
And I think Filoni kind of had that Lucasfilm foresight and said, well, let's throw Thrawn and Ezra out there and we'll just go chase after them. And that'll be the next thing we do. So Star Wars, I think, is set up the way I think Kathleen Kennedy wanted to kind of start off from after the sequel trilogy. But I know we mentioned on the podcast that it's possible that she retires after Indiana Jones. So that's a possibility as well. But Yeah, the unknown region stuff. It's they can do pretty much anything. Hopefully, Filoni and Favreau at the helm of that, and they have a plan that's entertaining and that can kind of live up to what George Lucas started in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
James, have any thoughts on the unknown regions?
It's unknown. No,
And it's a region.
It's a region. No, it's just cool to think that there's if they do this right, like General Kenobi, like if it's done right, it could open up so much more, and it could be so cool. We just have to see how they handle it with Skeleton Crew, and it's kind of crazy. We have no idea what it's about. We have no idea. I mean, we know what it's about, but we really don't know the tone of it. We really don't know how they're gonna do this. And we keep saying it's like Disney's answer to Star Wars' answer to Stranger Things. Like I just hope it delivers. I just hope it really. The first episode, we're all just gonna be like, "Oh, this is gonna be great." I'm just gonna hold my judgment back until it comes out. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if you guys get to see something, juicy in a celebration for all these shows. I would say for sure Ahsoka. I gotta believe that Filoni is gonna be pushing that pretty hard. But it would be so awesome to see, of course, a little bit more of the other shows.
If we win the lotteries.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
If I fly all the way over to London from Texas,
don't
win the lotteries.
Yeah,
it's going to be kind of disappointing. Yeah, I don't know what Colin would do.
Colin would just start crying. I'm just kidding. No, I would be sad for Colin if he didn't get into any of the panels, because that is kind of heartbreaking. You go all the way to London, you paid all that money, and you can't even watch a panel. One of them. Yeah, so I mean that's what happened to me. I didn't get in one panel that was like lottery. I didn't win one. I think they saw that I lived in Anaheim and they were like, this guy doesn't need to get into any of them. He's fine.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today. I was like, man, we didn't get the podcast stage. We applied for that. But I won every single lottery that I applied for except the Mando panel. But I was gonna meet Ewan McGregor at that time anyways. So it's like the Star Wars gods kind of like looked down upon me. Yeah, favorably. Nice. So yeah, it all kind of worked out.
Yeah, and I only got into the Tales of the Jedi one. And
okay. James was there.
It ended
were
up
probably
being a really
right
good
next
panel,
to him.
though. Yeah, I was gonna say. And it ended up being, surprisingly really good panel, right? With
awesome.
Filoni, and then they showed us one episode and all that stuff, right? So I managed to sort of kind of sneak my way into the Kenobi premiere live. That was I'm not super proud of that, but
you told the story on the previous podcast.
Exactly. So there are ways. I'm just saying, I have full confidence in your powers of the Force to Jedi mind trick some people out there. So I'm sure you'll get in.
Oh man,
that's great.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one to swallow if I can't
get into any of them. Yeah,
if they have like a main Lucasfilm panel in London, and they're gonna have, I mean, that's almost like kind of like a shotgun shot with all the stuff that they're gonna release, and then they have the individual. I'm thinking they're gonna have an Ahsoka panel. I'm thinking they're gonna have a Mando season 3 panel, and then possibly they'll have the kids from Skeleton Crew and Jude Law up there, and then maybe they show us like 15 minutes or something, kind of like what they did with Mando in Chicago.
See, I don't think it's gonna be that. I don't think that's gonna happen. I really don't. I really don't think that's gonna happen. I really don't think they're gonna have a panel like that, and everyone's gonna be really disappointed when it's all done, because they're gonna be like, "What about this?" And then like 2 weeks after Celebration, they're gonna start dropping news about something else. Because for some odd reason, Celebration, they don't usually drop like dates or anything juicy like that. They'll just show you one thing, and then they'll be like, "All right, yeah, we'll let you know soon." Like we didn't know about Indiana Jones, the date, until 2 months ago, and when they showed the poster at Celebration, no, they didn't even show anything at Celebration. Like it was just the music and say, "Hey, it's coming out," and nothing. You didn't hear any, like the title, nothing. So I think at this Celebration, they may do a Mando thing, and they may do an Ahsoka thing, but I think that's it. I don't think you're gonna hear anything about Skeleton Crew the whole week. We're there, yeah, they're there. So
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think I lied earlier. I don't have a streak of solid celebrations because there was a celebration in 2016 in London that happened at
Mhm.
the Excel Center. None of us, I don't think, went to that.
And they didn't
Um,
drop anything. The only thing they did was release the Rogue One trailer.
Well, they had a Rogue One panel that
Yeah.
Gwendolyn Christie hosted, and then
That
the
was
actor
like,
that played Baze Malbus said he died in the movie.
yeah, that's right. But that was like the big thing. That was the movie. That was like Star Wars doing the movie each year, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is
Yeah.
here's the next Star Wars movie. So of
So-
course they made a big deal about it.
So what are the panels? What are they going to talk about then, James?
I mean, they're gonna have Mando probably do an Andor, and maybe
I would say
an
for
Ahsoka.
sure do an Andor because that's where they're shooting it in
Yep.
England. So
Okay, so
you would
definitely
figure
Mando, Andor, maybe Ahsoka. I'm gonna say maybe Ahsoka. Definitely no to Skeleton Crew
okay.
or Acolyte. Nothing.
So there's no shot that Kevin Feige walks across that scene.
No, there's no way. There's no way. So
Taika
that's oh god. Hey, so Damon Lindelof, is that how you say his last
Yeah,
name?
yeah.
He wrote the screenplay and the story for Tomorrowland.
Really?
I'm just gonna say that. All right, I'm just gonna throw that out there. If you know me and my my history with Tomorrowland, you'll know that doesn't make me feel that great. you wrote that movie, and now
But
he's
isn't
doing.
Tomorrowland directed by Brad Bird like a
It was
cool
directed.
like story? It was a cool story. Just the execution wasn't there.
It just wasn't a good movie. You did it. It's one of those movies, and I've said it before. It's one of those movies you don't know what it's about until the last 15 minutes of the movie. Then they
Mhm.
finally tell you this is what's been going on. You're like, this is dumb. Like the whole movie, you're just wondering, why are we doing this? Why is this happening? At the very end, they're like, this is why. And you're like, oh, okay. And then the movie's over. And you're like, all right. I did not like it.
Yeah.
But anyways. But yeah, so that's my celebration thing. I think
Is that why you're not going, James?
I think they're gonna show y'all a teaser for Ahsoka. No, I know they're gonna show you a teaser for Ahsoka, but they're not gonna show anyone else. They're just gonna show the people there at Celebration the teaser for Ahsoka, and that's it. Y'all gotta get a poster. I think Ahsoka's gonna be the big thing they're gonna be pushing. But yeah,
You don't think they're going to announce who Thrawn is going to be played by?
No.
And
no, nope, nothing.
see, I think so.
Yeah,
I think we're going to get final casting.
All right, well, let's. I said that today. My faith in the panels at Europe are gonna be really low. They're gonna be great, but I don't think we're gonna be getting any news. Is what I mean. Like we're not gonna be getting any like, ooh, like it's just gonna be kind of what we already know.
Well, the rumor is Lindelof is gonna talk about his 3 possible films.
See, I can't see that happening.
No?
Like,
I
Okay.
don't know. Do we know if we got a celebration next year? Not yet, right?
No.
a rumor.
Traditionally, they'll announce it.
Right.
What do you say,
Celebration.
James?
there's a rumor though about where it's gonna be.
Oh yeah, we can't talk about that.
We can't. Well, we
No.
don't have to say who we heard it from, but we could say that we know something about it. Yeah, we're not going to say it, but yeah, just know that we know something about what may happen next year for Celebration. So yeah,
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll tell you off air, General Kenobi.
we'll tell you off the
and
record.
make sure you don't tell anyone else. But so traditionally, after Celebration, that last day at the
Yeah.
closing ceremony, they announce where the next celebration is going to happen.
Right. So I gotta
So-
think, if we already know that a movie's coming out in 2025, like I would think they'd also line up one for that.
Oh yeah,
In-
for sure.
In which they're gonna be pushing those projects like pretty heavily, right? But
Every time a
uh,
film drops,
yeah,
after in the prequel era till now, we get a celebration that same year.
right. So if we, supposedly are getting movies, what is it, back to back, like 25, 26, and
The rumor is
27?
back
that
to
right?
back to back, like
Right.
kind of like Lord of the Rings style.
Yeah.
What it sees. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yep. Yeah.
Nathan,
Uh,
since you're a paid patron, we'll probably tell you. I'll
snap.
send you a message.
There you go.
All right.
So yeah, I mean that's a lot of celebration coming our way. Then I mean, in the
yeah,
next few
yeah, we
years.
could get one 2024 and 2025, 26 and 27.
Yeah, that's quite a
And
bit.
it's crazy to think what 2030 and beyond is, because it's like that's wild. But who knows?
Yeah.
They may still be making more and more Star Wars movies in
Yeah,
2030.
hey.
You know, so
I'm okay with that.
that's gonna be nuts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's weird for me to think about. I'll be, how old will I be? I'll be 42. Anyways, we don't want to talk about that. Okay. What else we got, Dave?
You're old. So, yeah, I'm older than James, by the way. But so yeah, there's just a couple more things I want to talk about. So, of course, I've talked about how it was like an awesome time period last year when we had House of the Dragon and we had She-Hulk and we had Andor all simultaneously dropping. So right now on HBO Max, of course, you can watch The Last of Us starring Pedro Pascal. And I've made the joke on our Facebook group that, this was kind of an odd Mando season opener for that first show. I was like, where's Grogu at? But yeah, Pedro Pascal, he's going to have a tremendous start of 2023. And this was a picture I found of
Nice.
Joel and Din Djarin there. You see the logo.
I like that.
Yeah, of the God, I'm forgetting so many things tonight.
Of the
Mythosaur
and the
and the
fireflies.
Firefly.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see the symbol. Yeah.
Yeah. So Pedro Pascal, he's actually going to be this week. He'll be on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and he will be also hosting Saturday Night Live this Saturday. So if you want to catch him,
Man's on fire.
those spots, you can. And that last episode of The Last of Us was like one of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen. It felt like, to me, a lot of people aren't saying this, but it felt like to me when I saw that episode, it felt like I saw a whole season of a show in one episode. I was questioning, like, is this like a 2-hour episode or something? It felt very long, but still it was very like captivating.
Mm-hmm. Well, I haven't seen it. And I'm probably never going to watch it, but
why not?
I'm not, it's just not my thing. He didn't get on General Kenobi for not liking Avatar, so come on, get off.
Yeah, but so, I mean,
I just have no want to watch it. But somebody said the first 10 minutes of Up, they did in that last episode. They did the whole episode of The Last of Us, just like the first 10 minutes of Up. Like they just drug it out a little bit longer.
Yeah,
which made me go, okay, I think I know what's gonna happen, and I don't want to watch that. I think I know something sad's gonna happen at the end. But so you said this episode was the best piece of television you've seen in a long time?
One of the best episodes of TV, but I think it had to do with kind of the setup for the show, all the trailers we saw and the commercials. You think it's going to go one way, but it totally jukes and says, no. And it's all with the execution and the handling of the passage of time, which is something that I really love, something that I would implement in a show if I did a show. And a lot of people are complaining about that, but it's like, hey guys, you might see them as like really old people at one point, but at another point, there can be a long, maybe 6-episode run of them being young together. You know, it's one of those things, and you could do anything. You know, I mean, it's 2023. I mean, it's cool that people have the foundation of the video game on Sony PlayStation, which I never owned or played, but I kind of knew a little bit of the story, and so you have the people complain, oh, it doesn't go the same way the video game goes, and then you have people saying, oh, I like the deviation, and oh man, they shouldn't have done what they did, and it's like
you can't make any control. They sound like Star Wars fans. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Probably are Star Wars fans looking to complain about something, but.
This is nothing to what we said, but the Dear Billy episode in Stranger Things, I think, was one of the best television episodes I've ever seen in a long time. The one with her running and like running up that hill, like that whole. I remember watching that with my wife, and I looked at her. I was like, "That's like one of the greatest things I've ever seen in television." So I'm just gonna say that for me was like, if you're saying this episode is up there, I may actually watch it. But for me, that was the peak.
That is pretty good, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of. I'm trying to think back to that episode. That episode was really good, but Stranger Things season 4 was just great all the way around.
It was disgusting how great that last season was. I was like, really? This is great. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Then, of course, one of the producers is going to do a Star Wars thing as well. We just don't know what it is. Maybe he'll show up to Celebration. I believe his name is Sean
There you
Levy.
go.
So,
Sean Levy's doing the Star Wars? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He is.
Yep.
I forgot. That's pretty cool. I like Sean
too
Levy.
much information to remember, James.
And he's doing Deadpool 3, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got some type of partnership with Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
That's the coolest thing I've heard in a long time, that Sean Levy is doing Deadpool 3. So that's actually going to be really, really good.
I hope. Did you watch the movie they did with Taika?
Free Guy?
Yeah.
No,
Free
I
Guy.
did not. Just not
Did
interested.
you, General Kenobi?
I did.
Taika
It was
in it.
entertaining.
Did you like it?
It was fun. I mean, I took it at face value. I didn't read too much into it. It's just one of those,
Yeah.
like, I like to call them popcorn movies because they just, kind of pop in, kind of pop out. That's it. But it was fun. I mean, it kept me entertained. Had some pretty cool cameos on it. So yeah, I mean, it's
Wait,
That's
have
good.
I been using that term wrong this whole time? Wait a second. Have I been using it wrong? I've always thought popcorn movie meant you just sit down and enjoy. It's just you just eat popcorn and watch the movie.
I don't know. That's how I use it. So maybe I'm the one that's wrong. But
Because you just said it, and I was like, that sounds amazing. Is that what it means? Holy crap! I'm questioning everything.
hey,
Blew James's mind.
eating popcorn is also pretty good. So don't get me wrong. But yeah, so it was fun. Like I said, let me put it to you this way: I enjoyed it more than I thought I was gonna. I did have a pretty low bar for it, but I thought they did a good job, overall. And like I said, some of those cameos were pretty fun.
And there were Star Wars references in it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And along with, I mean, probably most people have seen it by now, but and the Marvel stuff too. So it was fun. It's a fun movie.
And Taika.
And I think at that time, Ryan Reynolds was already talking with, I think the acquisition of Fox already happened. So Ryan Reynolds really couldn't get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Deadpool 3. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they got a tall order, right? Because I mean, 1 and 2. So now, being part of the MCU, all of that stuff, quite a bit in the, again, to satisfy the fans. But I'm looking forward to it.
It just makes me sad that, I don't know, we're not us right now, but Star Wars is so, like, the movies, we're not talking about the movies because there's nothing coming out. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, tell us something. And I know they're not going to tell us at Celebration, but I just wish they would just tell us something so we could all be getting excited about, like, oh, this person's going to be in the next Star Wars movie. You know what I mean? Like, but no, here we are. We have to talk about something else because
we had to talk about Avatar, Stranger Things,
Deadpool. Yep. Anyway,
The Last of Us.
Hey, we're doing a good job, right?
Yeah, good job, James. So the second to last thing I think I want to talk about here is the fact that this man ain't ever gonna stop. And he keeps on getting nominated. And he said, I'm not quitting, guys. I'm not retiring. And he's still doing concerts at the Hollywood Bowl, too. I still see people post stuff on Facebook. Hey, I'm watching John Williams. It's like, what? It's like, I thought he retired like 6 films ago. But no, He said he wants to keep going. He says he's going to retire, and then he does a Star Wars film. And he says, this is my last Star Wars film. No, nobody's going to handle Rey. If Rey's in a film, I got to do her music. And he finishes off the trilogy. Then I got to do Indy. He does Indy. Nope, I got to be at Celebration. No matter what, I got to be on stage for the fans. He's there in front of us at Anaheim 2022. And he's still performing, still conducting. He's not going to stop. And he got nominated for an Oscar for The Fabelmans. So he will be at this year's Oscars as well. So congratulations to him. He is still at the top. I mean, he's
one of the greats.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think he's one of the greats. I think he is the great. I mean, I want to say I'm not a huge fan or like a student of classical music, but I mean, I think you can stick John Williams in there with like the likes of the heavy hitters that we learned about
Yeah, I was
in
gonna say.
elementary school. You know,
That would
I
be
kind of don't want to
crazy.
say it, and I do want to say it, but
In like in like 20 or 30 years, they look back, they say Mozart, Beethoven, you know,
Bach.
Bach,
Yeah.
Williams. It's gonna be like, who's Williams? John Williams wrote he wrote music for movies, but they were on par with what everyone else was doing back in the 16, 17, 1800s. So,
Yeah, absolutely, man.
and he said the best years of your life are between 90 and 100. So that's
Oh
why
my gosh.
he's still going. And like we say, he's not made
He
for
looks really healthy too, man. For a 90-year-old guy, he looks
Yeah.
pretty spry. You know, he looks like.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's still moving around, conducting, and
I heard
he's
he
in great
writes
shape.
everything by hand. He still writes everything by hand. That's crazy. Everybody uses computers now.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. I think back to that video of those two, like very early, like two, maybe like sixth grade, seventh grade. They're learning how to play their instruments, and they walk up on the sidewalk
Oh
to
yeah.
John Williams' house and start playing the Star Wars theme. And of course, it doesn't sound 100% accurate, but he comes out and he's just like watching them and waves hi to him and talks. It's like John Williams just
amazing.
lives in a normal house down the street.
Yeah.
The greatest
I think-
composer of all time.
Yeah,
is
all
just
time. Yeah.
I think the
someone's
reason-
neighbor.
He performs at the Hollywood Bowls because he probably lives like 5 or 10 minutes away from the Hollywood. And that's another thing, though. He is older, so he's not. It's not the London Symphony doing Star Wars anymore. You know, it's the I forget what orchestra it is, but yeah, the movies have to go to him. He's not going to go to New York and record. He's not going to go to London and record. He's going to be staying here in Hollywood recording. And I think at the Walt Disney concert hall, that's where he's been doing his recordings now.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, him and Hans Zimmer are up there for like the greatest composers. But yeah, John Williams still going, and he broke a record again with the most Oscar nominations for a human ever. So yeah,
It's amazing.
Yeah.
he already
What a
broke the
life.
record. Then he broke another record, and then also he broke the record of being the oldest nominated person ever. So
Wow.
That's so awesome.
You would figure, right? I mean,
Yeah.
90.
What a life, man. And yeah, I mean, why stop, right? I mean, if he's still
he's-
healthy, I mean, keep going, man. Please.
if it's what you love, it's like why would you stop? You know,
Absolutely.
and apparently the rumor has it he might win for Fablemans. He might win best score, which will be really, really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
Who's the front
Yeah.
runner?
I think he is the front runner
Okay.
for score.
Mm.
From what I've
Nice.
heard, I know Oscar talked, but Spielberg and him are like the front runners for director and best score. So
Nice.
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. And of course, Spielberg is going to be doing a documentary about John Williams. I think we've already talked about that, which I think that's pretty cool. They were like, "Would you ever do a movie about somebody?" He goes, "No, I'd do a documentary about John Williams." which is what we're working
Yes. Thanks for mentioning that, James. There's going to be a documentary that Steven Spielberg is involved with about John Williams, and it's going to be tremendous, man. I mean, it could be like a 6-part
Yeah.
thing, and we would all just watch it and just be like, "Wow!" And
Absolutely.
I'm figuring there's so much stuff we don't know about him. So many
Oh, yeah.
stories. I mean, 90 years old, rubbing elbows with everyone in the business, and
Everyone.
yeah, think about it. Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, E.T., Star Wars, of course, Jaws started it all.
Schindler's
I mean,
List. I mean,
Schindler's List. I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous. You forget great stuff that he's done. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
I still say his main theme for Rise of Skywalker, I think, is one of the most beautiful in all Star Wars. I think when that theme came on in the movie, I remember just going like, "Wow, he did it." He was like, "This is the last one. I got to make a song that kind of harkens back to the originals, to the new ones, and then this." And then when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh my god, what a jerk!" He
What a jerk.
Yeah, exactly.
he pulled it off so well. To where I go back and listen to that theme, and I'm just like, "Gosh, it's beautiful."
You're
So
like,
beautiful.
dang it! I wanted to complain about this movie, but
I know,
with
right?
music, I can't. It's not
I was
letting
like, I
me.
wanted to complain if he could deliver, and he did deliver. Oh.
Yeah.
And he
And
got
James
nominated.
is
for
a-
all movies, yeah,
Yeah, James is a music guy. He's musically inclined, so it's a
There
little
you go.
different for James. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, before we talk about the last thing here, I wanted to talk about where you can find the general here. You can find him on General Kenobi's Bunker on YouTube.
That's right. And guys, if you are so inclined to listening to David, his beautiful voice, please make sure you check out The High Ground, which is our live show that happens every Wednesday around 8 p.m. Central. He was kind enough to be my guest on episode 29. So definitely go check that out.
Yes.
And I appreciate the assist, and it's gonna be funny for you guys to see him, getting the tables turned, of him not being in control for once.
And also on Instagram, general.kenobis.bunker.
That's right. And we'd appreciate it if you check out our Instagram too. That's where we post a lot of our updates with the channel, when we're going live, when we have a new video drop, what we found on the latest hunt, etc., etc. We also post some of the news for Star Wars as well. Please, I would appreciate it if you check out general.kenobis.bunker over at Instagram.
Woo.
And last but absolutely not least, we are also on TikTok, general_Kenobis_bunker. So please give me a follow if you're not. I showcase a little bit of my collection there on TikTok. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm still trying to crack the code. But we post some fun stuff and a lot of toys. So if you enjoy, Star Wars collecting, definitely go check us out there.
Nice.
Yeah, I did watch your video today when you went to that convention in New Braunfels, Texas, and it was pretty good, man. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
You showed some of the figures for Star Wars for the expanded universe.
Yes.
And I had no idea that those figures even existed.
Right? Yeah. It's funny because I posted a little short about a Space Trooper. I don't know if you remember those guys. Back from the comic books of Heir to the Empire, and they made a little figure about that, in back in the 90s. And so I posted that, on TikTok and YouTube, and a lot of people were hitting me up. It's like, is that a thing? Like, is that a real thing? I'm like, dude, yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm like, no, they've been out for like 30 years, right? It's just, not a whole lot of people know some of those stories on the expanded universe. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely. I like going to toy stores and looking at. Like I just showed them right before we started recording the new toys I got.
Very nice,
and,
very good pickups.
So yeah, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna start hitting up a lot of toy stores locally.
Very nice.
Fine, yeah.
And for the Star Wars Stuff podcast, you can find us on YouTube. Thank you so much if you're watching us here. Like and subscribe, of course, on Instagram, Star Wars Stuff Podcast, on Twitter, @StuffPod. Of course, we're on Patreon. Show us your support there. Also, we are on TikTok as well as General Kenobi there. StarStuffPodcast@gmail.com. You can email us your questions, thoughts. We'll try and get back to you. But I'll let you know this, guys. When you have an email address that you put out there, you get thousands of emails from all kinds of different places. And it's hard to sift through a lot of this stuff. It's like, is this real? Is this fake? Is this? And you try and block it, and somehow they get around the blockade.
Yeah.
So my blockade isn't as good as the Separatists for some reason. I don't know.
Does the Prince of Namibia really need my help?
Does he really need me to send him money?
Exactly. Not that far off. Yeah. Not that far off.
Is he really in trouble?
Yeah. Because I'm a little concerned now.
Yeah, and
tell me that story, and I need to know what's going on.
Yeah, and a lot of malicious things too, like ransomware, and it's a minefield. But you can find us also on Facebook. We have a Star Wars Stuff podcast group, and we have a page on Facebook if you're a Facebooker. Also, give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Write a review. The reviews are fun to read. The more comical they are, the better. I know Colin loves to read them. Also on Spotify as well. If you give us 5 stars there, they just started that several months ago. Rate us there. And if you want to know where you can find all of us at, we also have a little kind of website here, Star Wars Stuff, or actually stuffpodcastnetwork.com. You can go there, and I think a link to all of our different platforms that we're on. So for the final thing that I wanted to talk about was, I guess we're going to end on a little somber note here, but a lot of people remember her for, and a long time I used to think of this person as Shirley from Laverne and Shirley, Cindy Williams. So she auditioned. This photo was taken from some video that I think we're all kind of familiar with when she auditioned to play Princess Leia for the original Star Wars back all the way back in the 70s. And if you did buy the VHSs back in the day, if you're of a certain age, you got to see some of these auditions, and you get to see Cindy Williams, of course, right here pictured here on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, and you also get to see Kurt Russell auditioning for Han Solo, and I think there's one more person that was kind of
You
famous.
see Martin Sheen audition for Han Solo as well, I believe.
And
No,
yeah.
no, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. That was another
I
thing.
don't remember the Martin Sheen so much, but I know the kind of like the running joke was also Burt Reynolds was a possibility.
Yes.
Al Pacino.
Yeah, Al Pacino as well. Yeah, I know that one's legit. But unfortunately, she was there's a interview that I'm about to play here at the end of the podcast so you can listen to her talk about her experience auditioning for Star Wars. She said she was 26 years old in this picture right here, and Carrie Fisher was 18 or 19 when she auditioned. I believe 18. And of course, she didn't get the part, but she was a finalist, and I just wanted to remember her. She passed away at the age of 75. So we just want to remember her as a part of the Star Wars universe. And I always think about the fact that she could have been our princess, and of course she went on to other really huge things in her career. So
but before that though, she was in American Graffiti, which was directed by George Lucas,
right?
Yes,
which is why she got that audition for Star Wars.
Yes, and she does mention it in the interview I'm about to play, so that's gonna send us off here. So for General Kenobi and James Herrera, my name's David, and may the Force be with you.
Always.
I remember this dialogue that was impossible to say because it was like the Cretans on planet, in the universe in the galaxy of, Frifaten, or it just went on. And it was, in my mind's eye, I think it was in the same studio that I auditioned for American Graffiti. I'm not sure, but I thought, oh, this is unbelievable. And I remember Harrison and Frederick Forrest is who I auditioned with. And I remember him going, geez, this is something. I mean, it was very difficult, but that's all I remember about that. I think I was doing Laverne and Shirley at the time.
Do you remember how far along in the audition process you got? Did you just do the one audition?
Yeah. And then I remember having a dream that George hired this girl who still played with dolls. And I thought, he's going to hire someone younger. Because initially, because we all knew about this movie when we did American Graffiti, that he was writing this other movie. And he wanted them to be, all those characters to be like 14, 15, if I'm not mistaken. And I knew that. And then by the time I got around, to Star Wars, auditioning for that, I was 26. And so I had that dream, and I knew I wasn't going to get it. I knew it was going to be someone younger than me. And I think Carrie was just 18 or something when she got it. But you could never think of anyone else being Princess Leia. I mean, you just couldn't.